You can't park here. You're going to park up on the other side. You're going to park over there on the hill. What? What are you talking about? Got a good story for you. Got a good story for you. Hey, this is Chris Huffman with Faithful Man. On my way to work and dealing with traffic in this valley I live in. Anytime there's a wreck or some sort of fire or something, there's only one way in and out. And right now I'm on the major highway, and this maybe we'll say 400 feet, 500 feet is the smaller single lane highway, and it's all backed up too. So I don't know, I saw a sign that said fire restriction. So hey, I make videos on the way to and from work. Perfect time now. I already made a short form video of the story, but let me give you the long form and the teaching. The goal of this is to, as in all the videos we make, is to glorify God, obey God, but to also help you and teach you and help you to grow up and transform and learn some things from my mistakes and my successes. So, talking about my landlord. Him and his wife, super nice people. I like them. Had 3 or 4 good conversations with them. But something gets in his crawl, and he wants to send a text. And they're very straight, which I don't mind straightforward, but almost on the verge of rude and not making any sense. And that first text that he sent me, after I'd been there a month and a half, it was completely the opposite of what me and him had already talked about. And I was very open about some oil stains I left in the driveway, and that I'd no longer park there. I need to park on the street. But I just want to let you know that, hey, I forgot about this. I dropped some oil. He's already got oil stains in the driveway. But, that don't matter here nor there. Those are my oil stains. So I told him, hey, I did these oil stains. Let me know what you want me to do to clean it up. I'll clean it up, and I'll just park my vehicles in the street. And he said, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. We'll just clean it up later. You can keep parking there. And I thought about putting cardboard down, but cardboard just blows away. And I did put some down, and it was just, and he said, don't worry about it, just park there. And so, I don't know, a month and a half later, I get a text from him that my son's tracking me. That's completely the opposite. He sent a picture of it. He said, hey, we can't have this. You need to park out in the street, and you need to, this is an environmental issue, and you need to get rid of your trailer. All right, so a couple things that 3 things right there that he was totally wrong about. One, that was completely opposite of what me and him had texted before. It was 2 texts. So that had to be addressed. Him talking about it being an environmental issue is none of his business, none of my business. I mean, that's you believe what you want to believe about that. I believe what I want to believe about that. Okay? It ain't your concern that my truck leaks anyplace else other than your driveway. So if it's leaking in the street, it don't matter if it's an environmental concern. And then to tell me to get rid of my trailer. Well, you got no business. My trailer's parked on the street. It's a public street. It's none of your business. But I want to be a blessing, and if it's an eyesore, because it was an ugly trailer. It was just an old truck bed that I was holding on to that had a camper top on it that I wanted to turn into a pretty sweet little camper. But I'd had in storage up to that point, and then when I moved there, I cleared everything out of storage. And I already talked to cops, because the cops had already been by and tagging it one day pretty quick, because, it's trashy looking, But he said, listen, as long as you move it around, we're not going to worry about it. Just move it every few days. But it was also a kind of pain in my butt, because I was holding on to it, and I'd had issues with it, just hanging on to it, and it was turning to be a pain. And now that the cops had already tagged it but said I could move it, now there's a landlord saying move it, and I just, it ain't worth the hassle to me. I'm not sentimentally attached to this thing. I was a little bit, but I'm learning to get detached. So I just took it to the dump. But he had no right to tell me not to park it there. So I called him up that day. I said, what are we talking about? This is against everything we said. And he got mad and hot. Why are you calling me? You could have just texted me, and started getting mad at me. And I said, listen, man, I'm not mad. I said, I want to be a blessing to you. I appreciate having housing. But this text is not in agreement with what me and you had already talked about. So what's going on? He said, well, you could at least put something down there. I said, well, I thought about it, but the wind just blows cardboard away or whatnot, and you said I could park there, so, well, let's just figure out something we can lay down there. And I said, okay, and so I found some old metal pans that I had, metal flatbeds that are made to put on the floor to catch the leaking, and put a couple of those together and put some iron bars down on it, so took care of that. And then a few weeks later he said, hey, I don't know why you think you can park this way, but no more, thanks. Well, what I'd done was I technically illegally parked, on the left side of the road facing traffic, because that was the way I came in, next to the driveway where my work truck was, so I could load and unload in a temporary situation. But I went and had lunch, took a nap, and so in between, he said, don't park like that. Didn't even address that thing. I was moving it anyway. So, and something else, some other text. And then yesterday, where I normally park is in the street at the end of the driveway, which his truck, her vehicle, and my truck are in the driveway, and I got access to that garage, and that garage is mine, that side of it. And so when I park on that side of the street at that end of the driveway, about, 30, 40 feet is their house, and they're up on top, and they got a patio and stuff out there. I've never been back there or seen it or anything like that. But evidently, he had texted me while I was sitting there about turning it off or moving. I don't know, because we found out later he texted it to the wrong phone. So all I know is I'm getting out of the truck, and he's right there at the door. He says, you can't park here. And then what I already told you. I said, what are you talking about? He said, we're sitting here out on our patio, and he's already yelling. We're sitting here out on our patio, and all we got is this exhaust. Read your text. I said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know that I got a text. But if me sitting here with the noise of you guys on the patio, I said, I don't mind just turning the vehicle off. He said, you're not going to park here anymore. And I said, listen, man, you crossed the line a couple times on this, and I'm trying to keep the peace, but you don't have any right to tell me where to park on the street. All right. So the problem here is that the noise, and because it's a louder truck, was bothering you on the patio, which doesn't even matter. Okay? When you live in a subdivision, people's vehicles make noises, and probably multiple times during the week for myself and anybody else, somebody's vehicle makes noise, or whatever. So he doesn't even have any right. But I am trying to be a good person, a good Christian, be a blessing to him. So I said, listen, I won't let my vehicle stay running here anymore, because I don't know if you're going to be out on the patio or not, and it bothers you. I just want to do it. I want to be a blessing to you. He said, no, you ain't going to park. I said, I'm still going to park here. He said, all right, Mr. Renter, you know all the renter laws. You're in violation of the agreement. I said, have I violated the agreement? He said, no, you probably will, though. I'll just keep my eye out. I said, you just do what you need to. I said, I'm not mad at you, but I can't tell you that I can't let you tell me where to park anymore. And he said, why don't you read your text? I said, well, what? I will. What are you talking about? Just open up your text right here in front of me so we can prove it. I said, I know you. I believe you that you sent me a text. I'm not mad about that. What's the problem? I believe you. All right, man. He just walked off. And then he came back later. And I went and looked at the phone, and I didn't have a text, and I just texted him back and said, no text here, dude, but no problem. You can just talk to me. I said, I'm not mad at you. I want to be a blessing to you, but I can't let you tell me where to park. So I just won't run my vehicle there anymore. came over to me as I was walking in, all friendly again. Is this you? And it was my name. Well, that's my name, but that's my old phone number. He said, well, this is the most recent texting. Can't you see? I mean, this phone is... Me and you have been on different texts for the last 4 months. Different phone. And you just went on a rampage again. He says, well, you're going to park on the other side, or you're out of here. And I said, listen, you do what you want. I said, I love you. I'm not mad at you. I want to be a blessing to you. But I'm still going to park there. Why do you got to park there? Why do you got to be so ugly? It's just an eyesore sitting there. I said, what is it? It's a truck in the street. And then probably what's going on is he's drunk as well. And I didn't make that connection until talking to my brother later on about it. So he's yelling at me through the fence as he's walking to the back. And I said, hey man, I love you. I'm not mad, but listen, I'm going to keep parking there. Well, I said, because the issue is not me parking there, dude. It's the issue is that I was running my truck while you guys were on the patio and the exhaust sound was bothering you. To park on the other side, I mean, that's around the corner and up the hill, 300 or 400 feet away from my entrance. I'm not going to do that. So, anyway, that was another fun event. Another teaching moment, a lesson moment. So then while I'm on the phone with my brother talking about it, I get a text from him. It still kind of reads like it's a drunk text, but it seems apologetic. Hey dude, we want to be good neighbors. Sorry everything seems stressful. Which I don't know what he was referring to, but sorry, really. So it sounded like he was apologizing. So I said, no worries, thanks. And haven't heard back. But I didn't get ugly. I didn't lose my temper. I didn't even feel really too aggravated inside. I don't know. At least a few years ago, I would have handled that a whole lot different. And here lately, the Lord's been bringing situations like that, mostly through him. And his wife kind of sent a weird text one time. But he keeps bringing me a soft answer turneth away wrath. And there's been a couple other situations the last few months I'm not recalling right now where just staying calm and giving a soft answer and, just seems to settle things a whole lot better. I will end on this note. We're called to be peacemakers, not peacekeepers. What does that mean? A lot of y'all won't do any kind of confrontation. You won't bring up anything hard. You won't deal with any issues that need to be dealt with because you just want to keep the peace. And so you let toxic relationships or toxic people or toxic situations, whatever you want to call it, go unaddressed because you just want to keep the peace. Well, that does nothing but cause problems and bigger problems later on down the road. That's just sugarcoating stuff and shoving stuff under the rug you're eventually going to have to deal with. We're called to be peacemakers. So one way you can bring peace to a situation by talking calmly, a soft answer, and not losing your temper, but you still have to address issues. And then you have to decide with wisdom, what hills do you want to die on? Arguing with this guy, because a couple of his texts about parking I didn't even address. Okay, he had no right to tell me even one time how to park on a public street. But in order to, I'll say, keep the peace there, I just didn't address it, and I did something different with the parking. But this last time, he was just totally out of line. He was drunk, and I'm just not going to cater to it. So learn to be a peacemaker, not a peacekeeper, and learn to mark things of transformation. Are you growing? Are you any different now than you were last year? Until we meet again, keep your eyes on him.